Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right? I believe at the beginning of the day, Rolf talked about how at GPI we like to have open dialogue and be a safe space. At 2:30 during an event of ours that includes having to move around or jump in jacks or pour ice water, we won't judge. You're open space. You're safe here. My name is Ryan Cameron. I'm the research manager for the carbon management team here at GPI. Over the past few years, we've put out various reports, white papers, and fact sheets that really look at the potential for carbon management. But as we've talked about today a lot, and we'll talk about more the rest of the day and tomorrow, it's really people that are at the center of all these projects, and it will be people building these projects. And so as we do these various analyses that look at what the potential for the projects looks like, we also want to make sure that we're analyzing what the need for jobs and the opportunities for jobs and workers around the country is. So for the last year and moving into the future, we've had the pleasure to work with Rhodium Group, a wonderful group of people, to really develop this analysis around jobs and economic benefits of these various projects. So it's my pleasure to introduce John Larson. John is a partner at Rhodium Group and leads the firm's U.S. energy system and climate policy research. He specializes in the analysis of national and state energy and climate policy, market trends, and emerging clean technologies. He manages a multidisciplinary team of energy modelers, policy specialists, and system analysts focused on accelerating America's transition to a net zero economy. John, welcome.
Yes, we're good. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks, Ryan, for the introduction. I'm John Larson. I'm a partner at Rhodium Group. I'm going to be talking today about some new work we're going to be releasing very soon in partnership with the Great Plains Institute. You know, a little bit about Rhodium, if you haven't heard of us, we're an independent research firm. We work in a lot of different spaces, but we focus on objective analysis that can be used to help accelerate the clean energy transition. On our team that focuses on the U.S., we do everything from broad national energy system modeling, looking at, say, what would the IRA do to help the U.S. move faster on the clean energy transition, and is the U.S. on track for its long-term goals? It's not at the moment, even with all the action we've seen. We also do a lot of deep work on emerging clean technologies, how they work, and where they could fit into both the existing energy system and then how that's going to integrate over time and what's it going to take for scale up. And then we also do economic impact research, where we say, okay, if you're going to build things no one's built before, what are we talking about? Investment, jobs, opportunities. And so today I'm going to focus on that piece of work that we do. As with almost everything we do at Rhodium, it takes a village to do an analysis, and this work, there's a bunch of people up whose names are up here. Mine is at the very bottom for a reason. I'm just here telling you about it. We've got Moni and Nathan on our team and here in-house who contributed to this work, but also Whitney Jones, who I think many of you know, who does a lot of work in the carbon management space. She couldn't be here today, but she led this work along with several other folks on the team. And I just want to say, too, personally, I have had the pleasure of interacting with the Great Plains Institute for almost my entire career in the climate space, and it's remarkable how far GPI has come and bringing people together, and it's just really great to finally be at a Connect in person and participating myself, so thanks for having me. So previously, Rhodium had worked with Great Plains Institute to look at what the economic opportunity could be from carbon capture opportunities in the regional deployment initiative states that are part of the Carbon Action Alliance. And so Great Plains Institute and Carbon Action Alliance brought to us all of the facilities they thought made the most economic sense for carbon capture deployment in the regional deployment initiative states over the medium term, which basically means out to the mid-2030s. So you can see the map. This is our old analysis, what's already available. You can already get this online. 21 states. And what we've focused on in that work were two basic things. Well, how much private sector investment is it going to take to actually build all this stuff out? And then what are the construction and operation jobs associated with that deployment? And so we have all that state-based state analytical work done and available at rhg.com. But today, I'm going to be giving you guys a sneak peek on some new work that's going to be coming out next month, where we worked with GPI again to expand the analysis. So GPI came back
with an additional set of facilities in 7 new states that have been added to the Regional Deployment Initiative in the East. So you can see the yellow dots are the new facilities that are part of our analysis. And beyond just looking at investment and job opportunities, we're going a level deeper now and looking at not just the total jobs associated with building out carbon management or carbon capture opportunities in the United States, but also what kind of jobs we're even talking about. What share of the total project jobs are construction jobs versus metal workers or other work. And so you'll see we're providing a much clearer picture of what we're talking about when we're talking about the economic benefits of carbon management in America. Not only that, we're going to be launching a new data dashboard as part of this work. So instead of a slide deck, which, you know, everybody likes a slide deck, but we've got this online tool that shows you that anybody will be able to use once it's available next month that can go into a lot more depth, and you can zoom in on your favorite industry and your favorite state to get all of the key details readily. So let's see, it's working. All right, so here's all the Regional Deployment Initiative states. And the color map here is a function of how much carbon capture opportunity there is in each state, as defined by what our partners at Great Plains Institute shared with us. This morning, Rolf was talking about the total number of jobs available as part of the carbon capture opportunity in the United States. I think those numbers were our old numbers because they were somewhere, I think the total project jobs is like 50, 60,000 jobs total. When you bring in our new facilities into this analysis, we're actually talking about 86,000 jobs associated with the annual investment in building out carbon capture in the United States through 2035, and another 56,000 jobs or so in operation jobs that are there for the long run. And so just to be super clear what I'm talking about, when I'm talking about jobs here, first of all, we're only talking about the jobs associated with the retrofits of existing facilities. So any new stuff that might get built that has carbon capture attached, that's out of scope. We're just talking about existing facilities, and we're just talking about the jobs associated with retrofit. So what I mean by that is when you've got a coal plant and you add carbon capture to it, the jobs associated with adding that carbon capture are the project jobs that we're talking about from investment, and then the annual operation jobs are the jobs associated with running that equipment each year over time. Importantly, we are not counting at all the jobs that are already there as part of the facility. So this is, if you're already working at that coal facility, that job is not counted here, but it obviously is a job that is retained going forward as that new facility is now going to be part of a lower carbon economy. And so rather than go all high level on you folks, I thought I would actually use this opportunity to zoom in to a handful of states just to kind of show you how this works. And so first of all, let's just step into Colorado. And you can see here when you click on a state, a wheel turns. And then we have all the charts reset. Thank you for the internet. And you can see here in Colorado, so first thing to note, when you spend lots of time with this dashboard, one thing you'll notice is that each state has a completely different mix of opportunities. In Colorado, the big ones are coal power plants, and then followed by gas power plants, and then gas processing and cement are your four big opportunities. Total capture opportunity, if you build out everything that we looked at, would be about 24 million tons a year of CO2 capture. On the right-hand side of the dashboard here, you can see the total investment involved. And so we provide a range here. Nobody knows for sure exactly what any one facility is going to cost. So we provide, instead of a point estimate, a range based on different optimism or pessimism around certain factors. And you can see here, just with the coal power plant opportunity alone, $4 to $7 billion in private sector investment in Colorado to install carbon capture on those facilities. And you can see a lesser amount for gas and then gas processing and cement. And then going down, you can see the jobs associated with capital investment. So for example, if we're looking at gas power plant retrofits, we're talking about anywhere from 450 to 670 jobs per year over the life of the project to retrofit the plant. And then ongoing jobs in the order of 270 to 410 jobs to run that retrofit equipment going forward at that gas plant. Moving on to Illinois, and you'll notice here as the wheel turns, that, oh, that was a lot faster. That coal is again a big part of the opportunity in Illinois, but now, surprise, ethanol is also the second biggest at 5 million tons of capture opportunity. There's almost 50 million tons of capture opportunity in Illinois. And then refineries are another big opportunity here. And again, we're talking about double-digit billions of investment in coal plants for carbon capture in Illinois, and then in the low hundreds of millions to billion for refineries and ethanol, things like that. And we're talking about jobs in the order of up to 3,200 per year for retrofitting coal plants, and up to 2,000 a year to run those coal plants, for example. Yeah.
Can I ask you to clarify for everyone what coal plants we're considering and what natural gas plants we're considering and why?
So that, yeah, I mean, you guys, Great Plains, took basically a cutoff, right, for what would make economic sense with these coal plants. Right, yeah, and taking into account planned retirements and things like that. So these are facilities that are not planned for retirement, and also make economic sense in that particular instance. So yeah, there are several plants, obviously, that are on a schedule to retire that we're not considering this analysis. Thank you for asking about that. And then finally, I'm just going to look to Texas, which has over 158 million tons of capture opportunity in this analysis. And as things update here, I said Texas. There we go. Over 340 billion in private investment associated with carbon capture investment in Texas. Up to 105 of that is in gas power plants, and over 100, up to 190 in coal plants. But then you also see a much more diverse set of industrial opportunities in Texas, like in ammonia, gas processing, hydrogen, cement, refinery, iron and steel, all of which, many of which are in the double-digit billions for total private investment. So we're talking about a lot of investment opportunities, and these are just 3 states. There's another 30 in the database. Importantly, like I said, just in the case of Texas, we're talking about, say, for gas power plant retrofits, up to 26,000 jobs on an annual average basis for retrofitting all the gas plants in the analysis to install that retrofit equipment, and 16,000 jobs going forward. On top of that, we took a closer look at what kinds of jobs we're talking about here. So this is the new piece of the analysis here. So on the top set of charts is our occupational breakdown of capital investment jobs across all of the industrial sectors in the analysis. So you can see here, for example, the blue bars on the left are your construction trade workers. And and you can see the breakdown is different industry to industry, depending on kind of the level of capture, equipment, and investment, and kind of vagaries of the opportunities in each of these industrial sectors. But this provides a much clearer picture of kind of what's in it for different groups when we're talking about carbon capture projects, both on the project side, which is the top chart here, where you can see a lot of opportunities for machine installers and maintenance and repairers, a lot of construction opportunities, which is not a surprise, commercial freight engineers. And then down here on the lower set of charts is the breakdown for the ongoing jobs that run these facilities. And you can see even then there's, metal workers are a big part of the story, but also, again, the big set of opportunities are for machine installers and repairers, as part of O&M and just keeping the equipment running over time. So I could spend a lot of time going super in-depth and detail on this, but I think it would be better for all of you to explore this once it's available. But I wanted to show you that this, when we first put out this work with GPI, one of the biggest, clearest messages we got back was, okay, so there's total jobs, what's in it for my union, what's in it for my trades, and now we were able to get a much clearer picture of this analysis into this work and kind of what's available. I will note, we are still at the early stages of carbon capture deployment, so as more of this stuff gets built, we definitely intend to refine and revise and learn as we start to build things to refine this and get a much even more accurate picture going forward. But anyway, long story short, the last thing I want to say is, as I was saying, this is the state breakdown I just went to here, but up here is a drop-down menu. So if you wanted to look at, for example, all of the ethanol opportunities in the data set, you then have a map that shows you all of the, the darkest states here are going to be the places with the most ethanol opportunity, for example. And if you wanted to, which is not surprising, the upper Midwest, for example. If you want to look at iron and steel, you can see it's the lower Midwest, for example, in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of other functionality here you can get into. And we're looking forward to finalizing this, getting it out the door next month with GPI, and so stay tuned for that. And then I also want to say, because there's plenty more we've been up to in this space, we've got 3 other streams of work we're doing in partnership with Great Plains Institute. First is, so this, remember, this is just carbon capture at facilities, right? We have another set of work that's going to be updating and expanding our work around the economic opportunities associated with CO2 transport infrastructure, so pipelines, moving that CO2 around the country. We're now going to add on to that injection and storage opportunities. That's going to be new for us. And then on top of that, another big question we've all been getting, I'm sure a lot of you have been getting, is so what's with these hubs? What kind of jobs are we talking about with the carbon capture and hydrogen hubs the DOE is pushing? So we are working with GPI to explore the economic opportunities associated with the hubs that have been announced and that are in the pipeline. And then across all 3 of those, you will see the occupational breakdown capabilities that I'm just showing off here for all of those pieces of work as well. Separate from our work with GPI, I just want to highlight a couple other things we're up to. One is with another client, we're working on a piece of work that will be out this month that explores the economic opportunities from direct air capture workforce development, including occupational breakdown specifically around direct air capture. That will be out later this month and is done in collaboration with our partnership with Breakthrough Energy. And then separate from that, early next year, we're going to be putting out a full 50-state analysis of economic opportunities around direct air capture deployment in the medium and long term. So if we actually get to the gigatons that we were talking about, where does that happen, and what are the economic opportunities associated with it? So plenty more to come from Rhodium. Stay tuned. Thanks for your attention today, and I think we've got time for a few questions. Bro. So there's a few themes of what kind of feedback have we gotten from the work so far. So the first thing is the thing I mentioned earlier, right? Like, so when we were like, look at all the jobs, they're like, well, what kind of jobs, right? So we've been responsive to that, and thanks for you guys for giving us the opportunity to explore this. And we're really looking forward to seeing kind of how that resonates and whether or not it kind of fits the gap, fills the gap that we've been told about now. Not only were we hearing that, but it's like, well, how good of jobs are these, right? Like, what kind of wages are we talking about? And what kind of skills do you need to even be into the space in the first place? You know, we heard a lot about that today as well. Those are 2 additional work areas we are actually actively in R&D to like figure out more. I'm gonna be honest, it's hard when no one's built anything before to answer these questions, but we've got some tricks up our sleeve, and we're working on it. But so those are the other gaps that we want to hopefully explore and flow up in the next year or so to really help inform and like have a full suite of data around this. The other is this is just what I was looking for when I was trying to talk to people about this thing I want to do. And now I have this third-party data that I can use as like, don't take my word for it, see? Like there are real jobs here. Even if it doesn't fit exactly with a specific facility, it still just makes it much more tangible and much more real for folks, especially when you can't point to a facility yet. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why, some of the first work we did with GPI was literally the only project we were doing in this space for a couple of years, and now you just saw we've got 4 or 5 things going on. And I think I expect to do a lot more work in this space because I think it's really, there's just a huge demand for making the transition to a cleaner economy real, and jobs and economic opportunities are a huge part of that. I guess over there.
So if this is proprietary, you do not have to answer this, but I'm just honestly incredibly curious. So how did you go about estimating the initial capital investment for all these different carbon capture facilities?
Yeah, so there's actually some pretty good literature out there, especially for carbon capture. It gets a lot harder for DAC and like clean hydrogen, where we've actually relied on work done by NETL and DOE and the National Petroleum Council and like other places where there's like pretty decent numbers around like typical facilities, right? And then through other work we do where we work pretty closely talking to carbon capture developers, and so that we kind of triangulate all that to develop our own capabilities here. And so yeah, that's about the edge of right before we get to proprietary. But that gives you a sense of kind of how we approach it. So we're really trying to learn from what's out there in the literature as a foundation, and then kind of expanding on that to like meet real world experience.
Thank you. I was wondering, is it possible, or even maybe something you're already working on, to model where the workers are likely to be pulled from in terms of whether they're fence line communities to these projects or further away? As you know, oftentimes that's one of the concerns, right? Is that a new project might not actually benefit local communities in terms of job opportunities, unless there's parallel training opportunities or something like that. So just curious if you can actually
Yeah,
model
I
that.
mean, the short answer is it's possible. The long answer, or maybe additional short answer, is it's like way more resource intensive than what we've done so far. So, I'd be happy to chat with you or with others who want to explore what that would look like. There's a lot, I'll just say, this is like if the jobs are there, if the people are there to take the jobs, this is what the jobs look like. That's what this analysis is, right? Which is not the full question that you're asking. But I do think that both for a community perspective, it's a really important question, and even just for long-run workforce development, it's really important to understand kind of, do we even have enough people to do what we hope to do in the time that we need to do it? And those are extensions of this work that we'd love to explore and are looking for those opportunities now. Okay. Patrice.
So, if I were, a community member, an economic development person, I know that a project is coming into my area.
Mike's right there.
Who do I go to? Do I look to Rhodium? How do I assess, the jobs piece? How do I synthesize the information that's out there in a meaningful way for myself and my community?
Well, with the last round of work, you guys did great work. I think fact sheets around each state that like made it a little more clear. We started getting all these really cool inquiries from like Oklahoma and Iowa, just like state level politicians and stuff calling Rhodium. Look, they saw your fact sheets and were like, your name's on this carbon capture stuff, and like we'd love to learn more about. No, it was really cool. Like it was like we were reaching people we never reached before in our work. So I think that's But to really answer your question though, like the starting point is this dashboard will be live and publicly available next month. So anybody can go to a dedicated microsite at Rhodium's website, rhc.com, and be able to at least get the state level view of this. And then from there, we're happy to talk and explore if there's, again, a huge chunk of work that we have not done is, well, what about the new things, right? Like a brand new greenfield facility, which I know a lot of people are looking at those too. And how much can you draw from this work to like infer what you're talking about, order of magnitude wise and things like that. But also, we're reporting things at a state level, and in some instances there might be like one industrial facility in a state, so you can kind of infer what one you're talking about. But in most cases, there's multiple, and we're happy to explore how, or at least, I'll tell you, many people have talked to folks on my team. Many people in this room have talked to folks on my team about comparing notes about what we're seeing versus what they're seeing. And we'd be happy to have that conversation with anybody who is interested in going deeper on this work.
I'm sorry, you might have already mentioned this or touched on this, but did your analysis show from the work and projects that are in the pipeline so far what the DEI numbers are looking like, diversity, equity, inclusion for the workforces that are involved?
No, it's just jobs or share of a project that could come from a certain occupation. Obviously, you know, depending on the facility and the community around it, you're going to have a very different answer about kind of the demographics and who's available to get to these jobs. But I think that's where developers come in with their community benefits packages and their DEI commitments and kind of follow through on the next step of this and actually put steel in the ground. Great. Well, thanks, everybody. Oh, hey, one more. No? Okay. 2.
Impressiveness that comes when you say, we want to engage your community, and we think while the construction period of our site may create 1,000 jobs, long term this facility is only going to have 50 jobs. Mm-hmm. And I will say there's a real thud when you say things like that. So I think the numbers around this are just as important as how we as an industry figure out how to message why those 50 jobs are important and why it's worth the disruption to their life, whether that's additional traffic, truck movements, building infrastructure, that long-term, you know, the downstream impacts are really important, because when you meet community resistance and then you say, well, this is 25 jobs or 50 jobs, it's really unimpressive. So the messaging behind that really needs to be crisp.
Yeah, I'd say too, there's, I mean, other dimensions of this we haven't looked at is like, there are also conversations around tax revenue to a community. And there's things beyond jobs that matter with that economic opportunity, and those are another place we'd love to explore and haven't yet, but I totally agree. You gotta be very clear about what you're delivering and when. Was there another question? Okay, thanks everybody.